So, for the final session, for what's been an amazing LEME 2014, I must say, we have someone special for you. You all know who he is, otherwise you won't be here, right? So I'm not going to introduce him. Without further ado, Mr. Theo Parrish.
How y'all doing? Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you, Charlie, for this.
That's all right, man. It's all good. Wonderful. So, for this session, it was rather timely, and we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to try something a little bit different. So, Theo has just, pretty much finished his new album. And what we thought, we'd use this opportunity as not only to share some key moments of the album as it's been written, and but also talk about the process from writing to recording, editing, and beyond. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to let Theo do his thing. But every so often I'll kind of duck in. There'll be opportunities for you to ask questions. I'm sure you all have questions. But we'll make time for those as we go on, if that's okay with you guys. Is that cool? All right. Enough
Great.
for me.
All right. Well, how y'all doing? You doing? I heard you laugh, but I didn't hear you say how you doing, though. All right. Right. How you doing? All right. Now, the next time you ask somebody how they're doing when outside of here, make sure you mean that shit, right? Because when I ask people how they're doing, I actually really want to know how they're doing. And so, like, when I think about how you're doing, that's the point where you really have to look at when you want to start creating something. Like when you really have something to say, it's how you actually feel about how your life is at that moment. So, that's the impetus part to start to record this piece of music. Now, I had a lot of material from the last release, which was STFU or so. What's up? And that there was an idea that my partner and my brain at times really had to take material like STFU and make an album sort out of that. And that easily turned into, well, why don't I just record a whole new album? Why not record all unreleased material and start from scratch? Now, my life is very hectic. So how do I sit and have the time to be in the studio, not go on the road, not pay the bills, and just pay attention to and focus? But it starts with, how do we feel? How do you feel at that moment? And is that a valid, is it something poignant happening? Because sometimes you may not feel like nothing. You just say, well, man, it's just regular, it's whatever. Nothing to say, nothing to record, nothing to think about, nothing remarkable. But I would contend that either you're not sensitive enough to be a human being or you haven't been outside, because there's a whole lot of shit going on everywhere, and there's always material to get stuff from. It just has to do with what we want to pay attention to. So if you're busy taking selfies, you're not going to have a whole lot to say about what's going on. I don't think. Maybe, I don't know. I've yet to hear an album inspired by selfies. But typically, if you find a place or something that's resonating with you, something that's at you, something that you've been through, or something that you see someone else go through, empathy, sympathy, introspection, these are places to start. Right. Now, getting to the craft, it helps to be able to translate what it is that you are trying to do, what it is you know how to do, and what it is that you want to be able to do, and be honest with yourself. Like, I think that I'm a really, really good background singer, like way in the back. Like, if there's a front vocalist, I'm like the third to fifth person way in the back going boo, 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 boo. I got that bubble boo boo down. I got that down. But up front, no. Hell no. No. You don't want. No. Now, with the beats, I'm very comfortable. Yeah, I put the boys right out front, no problem. That's my forte. Somewhere in melody and bass line and stuff like that, I'm all right. I'm a hack. I can pull it off sometimes, but I'm okay. With the vocals, no. But the things I was going through and the things I wanted to say can only be said directly sometimes using what everyone has, and that's a voice. Not all of us can play bass, not all of us can play keys, not all of us have access. We all have a voice. So when we hear songs that are instrumental, it's a challenge, because how do you ring emotion? How do you ring connection out of something that has no direct line to obvious emotions, like the way like if you say pizza, say pizza. Everybody say pizza. Now say pizza like you're saying pizza to a little baby. Now why does everybody's voice go high? You know what I'm saying? That's weird. How would you say pizza to your grandmother? Pizza. Right, because your grandma probably can't hear. You gotta scream at that ass. Pizza, grandma, pizza. You know what I'm saying? Not Lisa, pizza. You know, yeah. Like, but it's the intonation and the possibility that words we can easily inject or change the emotion of that by the way that we use our vocal tone. It's a lot more difficult to do that when you have like plugins involved in the situation, or if you have an NPC or things that don't have a soul. So you have to find a way to translate who you are into that. And that comes down to skill at times. It also comes down to having mastered that skill enough to not even have it be demonstrative. So let's say you're really, really good at keys. You're like the shit, right? And like you had a hard time and somebody tried to get you and you wasn't having it and you're sticking it to the man. You got this song and you about to get down and you realize that all you're trying to do is translate that emotion. The song may not need for you to demonstrate everything you know how to do. It may be something, one little minor key plucked on an off rhythm says exactly how that felt. May not need all of that. So there's an editor that comes along in there. Now I'm gonna back up. That feeling of what I was going through at the time. It was a mix of things. I mean, such a mix. You had realizations about family, about relationships, about music, about time, about my mortality. And for the first time, I had a serious health problem pop up at the result of so much work. And it was one of those things that was like, oh shit, this is what happens when people can't get up. Like debilitating shit. Change your shit. It change your life. And make you realize like, okay, I was doing this whole thing a lot differently. So it shakes your core. And then a whole lot of other things start to shake your core. And you start to realize that, you know, music is wonderful and it's a beautiful tool. And it's a beautiful vehicle. It's a beautiful language. But music itself and the culture around music has very little to do with that interpersonal connection between where your music goes and the people it touches. You have to let it go at a certain point. It has to become its own. And if you don't do that, you will suffer. And you will be made to suffer for it. Because the personality that creates the music that comes out is not it's not the same thing. It's from that. But it's not the same thing. And in recording this album, the thing I had to get to is, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to say? There's all this stuff going on. So I started to write things down, just write things down on the page, write things down. And then after writing things down, figure out what I wanted to do in terms of subject matter. The part was, okay, time. Where am I going to find the time? I sat down. And also too, you have to have someone around you that you trust to be able to talk to be able to get your vision across. If you're lucky, they're gonna be honest with you and they're gonna try to be clear with you about what it is that they see being the best for you to be able to make this happen if they truly are in your corner. And you know, luckily I have that. And it made it possible for me to sit down and have a month to pay attention to my music. And that's my partner, Ruby. She did that. You know, like she did that. And how she did it was through hard work and dealing with my raggedy ass all the time. But the other part is too knowing that, okay, you need to do this. So how we plan that? And so months before this happened is setting up the finances, setting up okay, how do we viably do this? Setting up the time, setting up everything that went into it. But more, it was just the time to have to sit and be able to come up with something from scratch in Detroit, in my studio, and get that bass recording down. Now, it all comes down to your methodology. Some people create in the box, they can do it all on the fly. It all goes in and comes out the same way. I create outboard gear and then my methods of that have changed a lot. I've gotten into just recording jams for hours and hours and hours and hours until an idea pops up. I find that idea, I revisit it later. Then I'm on to another part of experiment. Because in my studio, there's MPC, rack of keyboards over here, rack of keyboards over here, Rhodes over here, Woolers are over there, another keyboard over here, all types of racks right here. The way it works for me is I'll try to do 3 or 4 different styles of that I know how to do in creation. So one is the MIDI between the MPC and the keyboards and the VS2480 dance. There's that dance. The other dance is the record on the Rhodes with a beat from the MPC dance. I do that thing. And then there's the, okay, let me just fiddle around and play with this song thing. The Fender Rhodes for a while. Just play. And usually those are the least productive ways. You have to think about different ways to create because different moods like you'll find concepts fitting different moods that you're making it. And part of my kung fu, I don't like to make same song in the same way. I hate to make things in the same way. Because if you make it the same way, then you'll never really grow. You'll never really approach your limits. You'll stay in your little box. You say, oh, I know how to do that. I can do that. I'll just do the track. You know, it becomes easy. And you don't want ease. You don't want ease. You don't need ease. There's plenty of people doing easy shit, and it sounds easy. It sounds easy. You can hear it when it's easy. Hey, that's a nice track, yeah. And then next year, what was that one nice track? I don't know. There's another one this year. All right, yeah. You don't remember it because it never hit you in the head. It never busted your shit, and that's because they didn't go through nothing about that shit. Humans have an amazing way of recognizing whether or not something is substantial. You don't need anyone to tell you that. You don't need a reviewer. All you gotta do is listen to it, and you'll know if it hits you. And so, you also know when you've laid down something sweet. You also know if you didn't put your ass into something. So, for me, it was about finding the time and the space, and I found it. And so I started to create these different rhythms, these different tracks, undeveloped, just kept doing them. I try to record as many different mixes of things and phases. And one thing I've started to do is start to incorporate the different modes of technology. Now, my friend Budgie hooked me to the dark side of the force and hooked me up with Logic. Why in the fuck would you give Logic to somebody who's used to limitations in making music? Like, really, like for real. Like that's almost torture, right? So I learned how to dealing with the Day Like This with the Tony Allen. I learned Logic through that process, trial by fire. I thought Budgie was just gonna do the engineering for me. Didn't happen. He told me, I was like, yeah, man, can you just mute that? I was all ready. I was like, yeah, all right. We can get this thing going, do this thing for Tony, but wait for him. All right. Mute right there. Yeah, mute that part right there. He was like, well, press command. So I was like, oh, you mean I thought you was good. I just wanted to be the producer, you know what I mean? You be the engineer, I'll be the producer, get out. No, he made me go through and learn everything about Logic via that process. And so now I'm thankful to this day because now I have a whole new methodology knowing how to use it. One of the biggest problems I had with everything having to do with Logic was the fact it was all in a box and you never had to learn the hard knocks of plugging this wire into that and experiments of if you jiggle this chord and you got a jank chord, it comes out kind of crazy, might sound kind of strange, all right. And also the immediacy. This button does that. This knob has a direct effect on the sound and you can record that real time. Everything in Logic is pre-programmed. You got to think it all through. That shit is boring. I don't know anybody who has an intuitive mix coming out of Logic. It's not happening. Reason being, it's not based on those real-time aspects. And that's fine, but it's a different capability. You have to recognize that. So I had to go, okay, if I know that it's going to be that kind of deal, this gives me unlimited tracks later in the post-production. In the pre, I know that these songs have to start somewhere. So that's where the strongest parts are going to come. So rhythms come, chords come, structures comes, but they're loose structures. It's still 17 different mixes of every idea at that point. So not 17, but several different, modes. So in the MPC, I'm flipping it this way using different drums, and we're talking about the same concept. I might have a chord stab. I might have, a couple of drums, a sample here, and another sample here, and then I'll go through like 6 or 7 different arrangements for it, and it's still not there, and then a couple more, and it's still not there, and a couple more, and it's still not there, and that's just one idea. And we still haven't come up with an idea of a proper song. This is no lyrics. This is just rhythm and ideas floating around on the MPC. Now, eventually, I'll end up getting to a point where something gets decided on, and it can be an accident. I'll use a palette of maybe, 20 sounds in MPC, and I'll use those same palettes on different rhythms I've decided on. So it may be on this song, you'll hear remnants of this one over here. And since this was all going on the same album, I didn't feel weird about it. So it goes, okay, it would be referential. So what I will do right now is play the first result or the first tune that actually came of this album process that felt like the first finished tune. It felt like the one that came together, and it was that whole process of this sound, that sound, these other ones, and this one. The issue that came along with it too was that at first I thought it was whack. I was like, this shit is whack. I just put together something because it's whack. Because I was attached to the earlier ideas. I wanted these other more challenging ideas, these things that I wanted to reach as a piano player, or whatever I thought I was. That I was good. If I could just pull that chord off, I'd just be bad. Oh man, I can't even get. And I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, well, let me just fuck around these sounds and get something together. So I started the day, get it together, and it's sweet. It's all put together. It's finished. I put it away. I was like, no, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. Alarm number 1. That's ego. That's ego. I was trying to get there, and no, you're not there. Don't be where you're at. Be where you're at. When you get to that, you'll get to that, but you won't need to do that. You relax. And so I was having that kind of thing. So that tune is called, what the fuck is it called? That's another thing. My songs change titles all the time. Like every time I go and rename it, it's a different damn title. It's a pain in the butt. Let me see. Oh, Life Spice is what it's called right now. So this is Life Spice. And I'm going to stop talking about it and let you just hear it real quick. All right. All right, machine. There we go. Okay, maybe I should just... Wait. I hated this song. Hated it. When I first did it, I was like, ugh. and so on and so forth. All right, so, yeah, thank you. It's still not that sweet, but like, but that's my ego talking. I mean, I truly appreciate it. Like, it's one of those things where that's something I know how to do, is chop up some samples and put them together and put some drums. I know how to do that. That was not a challenge. But it's all right to be up into something that you know how to do. Let it be what it is, and let it say directly what it is. For me, this song was about waiting. That's about anticipation. And that's the feeling of where I was going through emotionally. That was some of the things in my life. I was waiting. And I couldn't get what I wanted out of that waiting. And so it started to come, and things started to reveal themselves, but I hadn't finished it. But that was the initial emotion when I started it. Because a lot of times where you are emotively, where you begin a song, is hardly ever where you are when it's time to mix it, and then even further, when it's time to master it, when it's time to edit it, when it's time to put it out. So it's those initial emotions. The second phase was after I got the first ideas out and got the first ones down, was what exactly did I want to say? Like, what was I saying with the album? Like, really, what did I have to bring new? What was I considering? And so I had a lot of tools, and one of the benefits that was suggested to me was to write down everything that I want to say, and write down the songs of it. And I'd never done an album like that before, where I looked at what these original ideas were and figured out where to take them. And that wasn't even my idea. Again, there we go. That's having somebody in your corner, being able to help you. So that's another thing. Let's not forget that we don't live on Earth alone, and just because we have a little laptop doesn't mean that you're God. You know, just because of these capabilities doesn't put you in a position where you're in a vacuum. You and your headphones does not justify you not connecting with other individuals, and also cultivating the relationships in your life so that you can develop trust, because that's essentially what that is. When you can go to somebody and say, hey, what do you think of this, nigga? Well, you could do it this way. You could organize it this way. You could go like that. Without that, you're screwed, because then you show up and it's all, again, you're back at the keyboard, super ego, like, hey, it's sweet. And you're like, yo, maybe it's not. Or maybe let's think about what it takes to get it to be sweet. Let's cultivate some human relationships, and it's very easy to bypass those, stuck inside the box. So after I got that suggestion and followed it, because that was another ego call, because I don't like listening to nobody. I'm in this to me. My studio will tell me what I need to do to make an album. How many albums I done made? I ain't never done it like this. Yeah, and every single one of them came out late, had to remaster it, and all types of other shit. So I listened. I was glad I listened. And so it started a list of everything on each page of what, I should have brought the damn book, of what those song titles were, the working titles at the time, and whether or not they changed. So like, it may start off as like, oh, I had one called This Gone. It became Helmet Lampshade, and then it became, we got to tell them the title. Then it became Interpretive Jazz Dance in Ode to the Crouton Area. So you can figure that out, and it sounds like that, right? So all these things are in the title, so it gets a little bit more organized. And then I was like, okay, do we want to put vocals on this? Do we want to put a guitarist on this? Do we want to put other things on this? You start to have a working idea of each pattern, because each page is its own thing. And so I decided that I kind of didn't know if that one needed a vocalist. It was actually a bit of a bite. It's okay to bite other people, but you have to not bite blatantly, and you have to learn what it is you bit. Like, I went for a gig in LA, and like, I was in between flights or something, or it was stayed an extra day, and I was looking at horrible reality TV. It was the worst shit I ever seen in my life, but it's one of those car wreck things. You gotta watch it, because it's so far from what you understand that you just gotta see this crazy shit. It was like, are you serious? The word? So you watching this shit, and then I flipped the channel, and then like, okay, guilty pleasure, man. Like, I hate almost all mainstream music, like all of it, because it represents a dumbing down of everybody, and it's almost hard to deal with, because coming up where music was so substantial, and I took for granted that that's what it became. And to see it now is just kind of scary, because like there's a lack of feeling that's going on, that's being marketed and put out there, and that's very, very scary for me. And so something messed me up, because for all intents and purposes, this song should not have made me feel anything at all, because it was the equivalent of "Don't Worry, Be Happy" from back in the day. And that was just so wrong for any black person to be saying in America at the time that came out. You know, like Public Enemy talked about it. It was like, "Don't Worry, Be Happy" is the #1 jam. Damn if I say it, you can smack me right here. But this song Pharrell did called "Happy," man, that shit is sweet. I was like, that shit is sweet.
That's a Pharrell song, right?
Yeah, I could, man. A lot of people are like, oh, he's always been sweet. No, he is not. That "Happy" song is sweet. That's sweet. And I was like, all right, that's messing me up. And then I found out there was this whole marketing thing. Like, I'm in a bubble. I'm like 3, 4, 5 months late on "Happy." You know, I come out what's this? Oh my God, it's amazing. I'm like, yeah, "Happy." 24-hour video. Fucking dinosaur. Plug in. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I was all inspired. I ran downstairs. I'm gonna make one. I'm gonna make that. No. I'm gonna play that plastic. I'm gonna fuck their head up. I'm gonna play "Happy," but I ain't got nothing to come out of it. How can I play "Happy"? I ain't got nothing to come out. I was like, I'm gonna make something to play "Happy" with. It's gonna murder them. You know, I just had it. Ego's involved. Now that's good ego. That's when it's inspired you to do something, right? In that moment, that's good ego. So I'm downstairs, I'm making my anti-happy. It's just wild as hell. Oh, just crazy. I'm like, yeah. And then I had this idea, what if I just make it crazier and just totally turn it into some Darth Vader shit in the middle of the song? Just total Darth Vader. And just that concept, it goes, okay, we're talking about the body work of an album. Now, granted, we're talking at this point maybe 12 ideas, 4 kind of garbage ideas, 12 solid ones. And one of the concepts was I had to talk about this thing that happened. I got pulled over by the police, and I was thinking the "Happy" anti-happy would be the perfect place to do this kind of skit where the police are pulling me over with the Darth Vader. So the beginning is everything's cool, and the police come, and it's Darth Vader, and then, then it's back to normal again. And I was going to do this skit talking about what happened. Turns out that you find out later on in the development of the album, that concept ended up being better for another song. And then that very song was something that needed to be what it was, because you disturbed the element of what something can be if you laid it down too many of your own external concepts. Because you may have a solid tune, you may have a solid piece of work, and you may overdo it with your bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because some stuff has an elegance that doesn't necessarily need your heavy-handed, what the fuck you went through, very obviously. But then there's other things that maybe need that push. So we're talking about that emotional distance. So you need that direct when you're going through it to know what you want to say, know what you want to do. But secondary to that, you got to start getting judicious about what songs need what once you started developing them. So along the way, there were maybe, like I said, 12 got developed along the way, concepts, right? Some of them didn't make it, some made it, some became better, some became worse, and we won't talk about the ones that didn't go worse. They weren't up to par. Again, had to go back to the external filters, because I was like, well, I just got an extra in there. Run it past the team. Team was like, yo, you wasn't beating it on that one. Sorry. I was like, what? Okay, I hear you. And it's the truth. You got to roll with that shit. So that you need an editor sometimes. So that's what happened there. Okay, back to the heavy shit. Got back home, did the thing, started up early, did the happy little song, finished it. It was like a one-shot thing. It was easy. Just boom, it just came out. But I was like, wow. You mean to tell me that I could cover a Pharrell song that quick? Where's my $3 million something in it? Where's my money? I missed my shit. But that's the point. You're biting somebody's song. It's still a bite. That's his shit. That was his thing. He deserves what he got for that. You know what I mean? Recognize when you see what someone else is doing and it inspires you, don't start thinking you're gonna be that person. You can only be yourself. You can't be nobody else. You gotta be you. You gotta speak from where the fuck you coming from. Cause you try to do what somebody else does, man, and like, that's the old school, man. Like, anybody see B Street? B Street. He's like, yo, you biters. All your boys are biters. So what's up with that? He was like, well, all your moves ain't worth being bit. So what's up with that, punk? Like, that's the line I like to remember, because you see in electronic music and other forms, not just electronic music, a lot of music, people bite. But biting is good if you give tribute to where it came from and you don't try to keep it as your own. Do not try to take it as, this is my shit. It's not.
So it's more inspiration rather than you're biting or copying and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's celebrating a reference point. Yeah.
The difference between covering it and sampling it, or sampling it in a way that lets it know that it's somebody else's shit, like I used to do. I'm very guilty of that. But luckily, I was able to grow out of that shit. That exactly. Like, covering, I think, is a very good tool, because you learn a lot about music that way. Like, really try to traditionally cover some other piece of music. That's very good to stretch out. And it's very humbling, because you get to understand, like, that's bad. Like, you may not realize how difficult or how easy something is. So it's a very useful tool, but the idea is just, when it's time to put the credits down, it's just like inspired by so-and-so or whatever, or do the proper thing, you say. Give the actual credit. If you're doing a absolute copy, like the one I did it's not in the same key as Pharrell shit. It's an inspired by. But if you're gonna do the proper cover, give the right credit on the publishing. You gotta do that shit. Let's see, second phase. Emotional connection, started the things. The part that was the difficult one was trying to decide what parts of myself to inject into it. And I decided that since I'm a background singer, I might be able to get away with a couple of little vocal things I could say here or there. So, I was feeling frisky one day, and I was listening to this track, and I finished the track, and I was like, footwork. I could just footwork. Yeah. And I was thinking about, like, how come there's never any songs where the guy's talking to the girl, But not like, hey, baby, let me smack your ass. No, just more like, less like, hey, let me see you get down, Let me see your footwork, baby. And so I did this thing called Footwork. Here go Footwork, right? Oh, shit. Yeah, go Footwork, all right.
Oopsie. Right. While we're finding Footwork, has anyone got any pressing questions right about now? Mesmerized. Likewise.
Y'all funny. All right, this is Footwork. This is fun. And like, I was somewhere and this guy was like, yeah, it's Footwork. It's about the guys in Chicago doing the dance and stuff. And no, it's about this guy from Chicago talking about dancing with a chick. So it's not the same Footwork. It's something else. A little different, just a little bit. Think that. No, that ain't it. That ain't mine. No, I didn't do that. Is that the right one? Bear with me, people. Okay, that's not it. There it is. Okay, here you go, Footwork. few of you might have heard me playing this already.
Let me see your footwork. see your footwork, baby. Drive me crazy. Don't stop, baby. Footwork. Footwork. Let me see your footwork. Footwork. Let me see your footwork. Footwork. Let me see your footwork, baby. Drive me crazy.
And so on and so forth.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Let me see your footwork, baby. Let me see your footwork, baby. Let me see your footwork, baby. Let me see your footwork, baby.
So as you can see, I'm not singing on this shit. I mean, the thing about this song is so funny.
No, before we even go there.
Alright.
So when you were doing your "Let Me See," were you giving it some?
Oh man, I was in it.
Yeah. Okay.
But see, that's
all I need to know.
But let me tell you, the strangest thing about it is I didn't give a damn about when I needed to be in the studio to record the vocals properly, nothing like that. I was sitting in the flat here with Ruby was upstairs asleep. I was at downstairs like 3 a.m, some shit. And I was like, and I was like, I ain't got no mic. It's 3 a.m. She's asleep. Oh shit, I can't out of the studio. I was like, oh man, I got to get this idea down. Oh my God. And I was like, you know what? You can just press fucking I on the line on Logic and just record them right there. It's quiet. The bus is going back. Who gives a fuck? Double it 3 million times and it'll sound good. It's not like old school where you needed like you had to have that perfect shit. You can do that shit right there. It's almost as good as some shit back then. So I just recorded it right there at the table. Let me see your footwork, baby. Blah 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 blah. Did all that shit right there a couple times, and then the claps and the pops and all that same thing. And immediacy sometimes is the best thing. Like your environment of how you create is very very important. Have a way to get your ideas down at the very least in an immediate fashion, if not the perfect way. Yeah, there's that, but I guarantee if I'd have tried to do those vocals in a proper studio, I'd have lost that moment. Even if I captured that, I wouldn't have done it with the way. Because sometimes when things are just kind of cranky and, you know, you can get that same energy out, but when you got in the studio, like, oh, let me see, oh shit. You know, it's like it's costing a lot of money. Like you want to sing that shit right then, you know, it's like, fuck. Oh, mama. Let me, you know, no, just let that shit be raw dog. Keep that shit ghetto, you know. And so, you know, and also too, ghetto and hood. When I say ghetto, I mean human. I'm gotta redefine what that means. A lot of people think hood is black people. Look, hood is human. If you're having a conversation, you being hood right there. You know what I mean? That's the mode we're moving into now. You know, keep it hood, meaning keep it human. So you can keep that going, keep that honesty, because there's honesty there. You know, you ain't no honesty when you send a fucking email. There's no honesty there. You rewrite it 17 times. Stop lying. Just stop lying. But when you're on the spot, you can't lie. You know, you can't lie when it's on the spot. When it's hood, you can't fucking bullshit nobody. You can't bullshit nobody from the hood. No. Unless they want to be bullshitted or unless they're crackhead. Yo, that's about it. And then 9 times out of 10, the crackhead gonna bullshit you, homie. So it's these things that you have to remember, especially when you're talking about being emotively connected to what you're doing, is that there's an honesty there. So be as direct as you need to be. Sometimes you can hire that studio and all that and have it turn out good. Yes, but it's hard. It's not easy. We're talking about That takes space, that takes time. So that was that moment. And I decided at that point, since that was successful, for me, that, okay, I could actually put my voice on a record and sound okay and not have it way, way, way in the back. It's just long as I stay in my lane. You notice I was just, let me see your footwork, baby. I'm not trying to do no acrobatics because I can't pull that shit off, right? So I did what I could. And so the basis of, I came to a concept then at that point in recording it, that the rest of that's how I'm gonna get across my ideas directly in the concepts. I'm not gonna write full songs because this is more about me going back to what I know how to do, and that's just produce things and just make crafted tracks. And also, too, now I'm going to add this element that I figured out I have the bravery enough to do, and also the reinforcement. Again, somebody in trust saying, you can pull that shit off. I'm like, no, I ain't. You can pull it off. And you do it. So the next couple songs after that, I decided, okay, this will be the motif I'm going to use. So I'm going to start thinking about concepts that I want to get across to people. And one of them was the footwork. Another one is drive. Now it's another emotional thing I was going through and say, okay, what do I want to say here at this moment? And that's what I wanted to say, and that's another one. And there's another one called The Fallen Funk. And The Fallen Funk is about there being a moment where you see somebody and they're going through some shit, and you know they're just down and shit, and you know that they're a funky person, but they're too stiffed up to really get out of their own shit. And so you want to address and say, you got the fallen funk. Get up, let's go. And so all these different concepts starts to come together when you have a methodology of about where you can do the new things that you may not be that comfortable with, because there should be a stretching point. I would think whenever you lay something down that you feel is worth for other people to hear, you should have grown from that. It shouldn't be the same old cranking out of your shit. It should be something that's a little bit further than what you knew how to do before, especially if you talk about an album. I mean, album to me is a story. That's not one song. And we're in a real strange time where everything is single driven and everything is single concept driven because they're easy to move around. You don't have to think about something that's just singular. That's one little thing. You don't have to change your mind about that. You don't have to be challenged with anything like that. But when you have a series of songs and they're supposed to work as a unit, then you have someone, now you're asking for people to give you more of their time as well. You're asking them, hopefully, to sit down and listen to the whole thing from start to end. You hope for that. That's almost an absurd concept now. You're going to spend that much time just listening? You're not going to text. You're not going to do this other thing. You're not going to do all this other shit? Really? Yeah. That's what listening is supposed to be. We've forgotten. And that's what we should aspire to. If we're going to put your ass into something, you want people to pay attention to it. You don't want it to just be passed over. You want it to be enjoyed, lived with. So to live with it, that's what it requires, is for you to put it down like that. So this one, it turns out to be that as things went on, I did more and more of the vocal stuff, that there were some people that I needed to involve in this. Like, I needed somebody properly to do some vocal stuff for me. And I needed a little bit of instrumentation. Not a lot. Most of that I pulled off myself. And that was my own stretches, like lots of passes, lots of takes, lots of mixes, lots of mistakes. Not even getting into the editing process yet. Like the editing process, whole nother deal. Whole nother deal. Where the creative part, that's the fun part, the additive. It's the editing and the mixing, that's the mug. I like to mix before I start editing. I like to get the sounds where they need to be, the relationships between the different sounds where they need to be before I start chopping the whole thing apart and making it ready to me, the editing is the last phase almost before the mastering.
Sorry, just to cut you in there. So in terms of the recording process, it's recorded into your Roland hard disk recorder.
Yes, at first. Yeah. But then here's the thing. The initial song ideas go into the hard disk recorder first. Now, before I started putting vocals and all the other things on, the pure instrumentals came from the VS-2480. Then they went into Logic, dun, 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 and that's where all of the additions came on. That's where additional drums, additional keys, additional effects, and all the capabilities. But that sound and that initial idea came from those places first. And that's just my preference. Some people like to do it all in a box, like I said. For me, That's how I like to get down. I love to get down that way. And yeah, that part of it was the that's sometimes the hardest part, to know if you're starting a track a certain way and you're going from different modes and different theories of operation. Because outboard gear is a different theory of operation than inboard gear, and vocals are a different theory of operation than playing keys, and producing is a different theory of operation than playing. So I mean, if you can walk the tightrope and understand where you're at different phases of it, and still keep your emotional connectivity to it, not your attention level, because the songs are gonna wear your ass out. They're gonna wear you out. You're not gonna be able to hear that shit after a while. It gets to you, you know. But once you get to it, and you start to go, okay, it works. So it went from the VS2480 into Logic, and in Logic I started out all the vocals and all the other parts. At that point, it started to be about which ones where I was gonna further my attention on, because then it was almost time to mix. Mixing is the most exhausting thing that happens with Logic. I am sorry. That shit is too much capability for me. I love it because I love the mix. But there's a certain point where you get to a place where, okay, it sounds as good as it's gonna get, and then you have so much capability, you start making, you can't tell whether or not you're making it better or just different. Because there's so many choices. Do I use that filter or that filter? Do I put that on that compressor or that one? And these things we have to be cognizant of. And I say at those points where we can't tell whether we're making it better or if we're just making it different, take a second, do a save, keep that mix, and then do those other ones. You know, just have that ready, because it's too much capability. Sometimes limitations are really good. And that's one of the moments where that kind of stretches into some other stuff. After I got them down in the Logic, that's when I was able to be mobile with it. Because then I could come on the other side of the water with it. I could go over here with it. I could be in a plane trying to figure it out, get the mix right. Because that's the most exhausting thing, getting all these sonic relationships. And the way I tend to work is I build tracks up with a lot of layers. Like the average song now that Logic's involved is anywhere from 62 to 20 tracks of audio, you know, and having them all make sense can be a mix. But the other part too is there's also those songs that are so based in the original ideas I laid down that it never becomes about that. They're just basically taking that bounce and transferring right over. It all depends on the concept of the song. So I was in the mixing stage and been in the mixing stage and finished it up, got here, so I thought. Then I ran into a snafu. There was a song that I made that was just like full of all this stuff I went through. And it was just emotion. And it when I laid it down, it went from so many different phases. It went from it being about a friend of mine and me unhappy with his line and what he's doing and our history, and it came to being about another friend of mine and some other stuff we're going through, and another friend of mine, and then about my own issues I was having about what I wanted out of this and that. And so it became this emotional kind of like mess. And it went from the original title to Emotional Battleships to De Groovenati to what was another one? It turned into Dance a Little Closer to Me, and then what is it? Damn, I can't even think of the other title. It's just so it went through a lot of titles, but here's the killer. It was 26 minutes long.
That's an emotional journey.
Yeah, an emotional journey. But here's the point that I started to think about is like, at what point do you sit there and go, okay, is it okay to take people through 26 minutes of your own personal bullshit? Like, really? When does it become irresponsible? You know what I mean? Like, there's a point where that comes irresponsible. Like, I don't know. That's like if you like you got a friend of yours, right? And they're crying, right? And you say, okay, just go, lay down for a minute. And then you come back like 2 hours later and they still crying. It's like, hey man, what's wrong? You want? All right, I'll be back later. And you come back again, and it's like, come on, man, when you still quit fucking crying, like get up, go wash your ass, eat, motherfucker, stop. Like that may be what you're taking somebody through with a 26-minute song. Now, granted, I know with the Theo Parrish of it all, I could drop it digitally and get like a whole bunch of hits, right? Well, fuck all that. That's the ego again. There it is. I can make money off this. 26 minutes? Who's ever done that? Nobody from Detroit made no 26-minute song. I know Kenny made an 18-minute one for Peace Frog over there. I can outdo him. 26 minutes of emotion. No. No, don't do that. So but the toughest part is, for me, and this is very recent, is to detach myself from it and go, okay, you've laid it down. You said what you said. You got 3 songs in one. All these disparate concepts. You have to find a way to unify it. So I mixed the song as if it was one. 26 minutes. And it's got all types of shit. There's a point in there where that's when it really started to stretch out with the vocals. Because between all this, I managed to schedule time for me to be down in Miami to mix it, because it's all in the box. I'm like, all right, I'm here with no responsibilities, no child, no label. I'm just a fool here in Miami all season with my shit. I'm gonna get drunk and I'm gonna mix this motherfucker. And it's gonna be great. I recorded the wackest vocals you ever heard in your life. That's when that background singer decided to kick the singer out and come out front. You know what I'm saying? Taco me showing with the collar. It was not good, but those are good for your soul. But don't share that with nobody. Keep that to yourself. That's not for public consumption. Keep those moments, those Elvis moments, you know what I mean? Those emotional Elvis moments. Yo, hold those down. Those ain't meant for everybody. You don't know. And so I had to detach from it because it meant a lot to me. And it was weird because the song who I intended it for, they couldn't get through it because it was too garbagey to get through it. It was just like, dog, it's whack, son. I can't hear this. I can't hear none of what you're trying to say. All the shit you went through to try to get across is all lost in the Elvis of it all. So, I had these crazy Dracula keys in the beginning. Like, they sounded like the Doors or something. And it was just messy. It was very, very messy. And so the suggestion was, would you please make it a little bit clearer? And, hopefully I tried to do that. But another part of the process was that, because it had so many elements, or a retarded amount of elements, and the other thing that can happen also, too, in the particularness of Logic is the amount of effects that you can add. Oh, man. You could put dub on anything. Anything. Like anything. And then also, too, you can put any element in it and you can make it sync. You can magnify that shit and put it right on time. I mean, the capabilities you really have to watch, because are you writing a dope song? You can hide behind all these bells and whistles, but are you really putting down something? Fuck dope. Are you making something honest? Like, are you making an honest tune? Is it really what you're going through at that moment? Is it really what it is? And do you have the wherewithal and the distance to say, okay, that's what I was going through, but let's just give them 5 minutes of that, where it gets sweet, or let's give them 13 minutes of it, but let's realize that's the dance floor mix. Now, I don't like to put a lot of limitations on times with my songs, because some of them are based on the idea of repetition. It's supposed to keep going on round and around and around like that, because you're not supposed to be listening to it that way if it's boring you. That means you're not listening to it with your body. But there are moments that you want it to be listened to in a certain fashion, so you have to reflect that the way you mix it. If you want it to be interesting, make it an interesting mix. If it's supposed to wear people out, make it wear out, so you can inject your emotions secondary into what you've laid down when it's time to mix it, if you're mixing. If you leave it to someone else, that's a different thing. You've given up that relationship, your part is done. You ain't got no more part of your music creation, because everything after that is mastering and putting it out. And so if you've already got an engineer doing your shit, chances are you already got a label, and chances are that's where the conversation more or less stops. You're finished. But if you're at the place where you're doing the engineering, you are doing that's part of it, then that's your second chance to kind of add something to it. So that's what I end up doing in this song. And
Cool.
Yeah.
What a ride.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So at this point, has anyone got any pressing they want to ask?
How long is that song now?
It is now 13 minutes. It's 13 minutes.
Cool. Anyone else? What about now?
Anyway.
Okay. So, in terms of the album,
Yes.
are all the tracks mixed?
All the tracks are mixed, except for one.
Are they all edited?
All are edited, except for one.
And that particular one track, is it particularly challenging?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the 26-minute motherfucker.
Okay.
It's that.
Okay.
I want to give them 2 minutes of it.
Okay. Yes.
All
go
right,
for it.
2 minutes. This is the first rough bounce of it. It really sounded muddy, and then I'm gonna play after I had some listening and calm down. Played it out. If you get a chance to play out your music on sound systems, and if it's intended for sound systems, please do your best to do so, or give it to someone that can and get your feedback, because it can really help you.
I know a night that there's an opportunity for that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Sometimes I don't make so much sense. Sorry, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, here it is. It's all that talking is probably like, man, that's some bullshit, Theo. Yeah, you should have kept that one down. Be in yourself is the working title for it right now. And let's see if it wants to do the thing with the thing. Yeah, it's doing it. All right. Now, I played this for the first time on a system in Paris at a crowd at the end of the night in a horrible situation.
Is it just today?
And it was the best place to play it because it's, perfect. Now see right there, the whole time I was mixing the headphones, I thought that foot was still going all the way through the shit, and it stopped. To much of my surprise in the middle of the club. What the fuck? Find the flaws. Way too much lows on everything. Now right there is way too much bass in there for you to hear any of what's supposed to go on. So I was glad I played it out, because then I made some decisions and it ended up cleaning up. I'll play that later.
Cool.
So
okay.
that's part one.
Cool. So I think we're running.
We're running close? All right,
Yeah, we're
let's
running
move
close.
on.
But that's all right.
Shucks.
No, it's been we could go on for 26 minutes. Right. Most definitely. Don't you think, right? Cool. All right. So listen, we have much time. So questions.
Yes.
Any thoughts? Mesmerized again. Oh, one over here. Go for it.
There's been quite a lot of discussion about industry, making money, stuff like that over the weekend. And I'm just wondering, like, you've spoken so passionately about music and making music. How does someone who's passionate about music also make sure that they make money?
Control your publishing. I'm going to say that again. Control your publishing. That's how you secure your money. Making it, you're in the wrong business. All right? Independent music is not for making money. It's not. It's enough to eke out a living, but your publishing, that's what you're concerned with when you're talking about the financial end of things. And it's designed to be a mess because there's systems out there that rob writers of their music money, and that's really just the truth. But the second best thing you could do is release it independently, not fucking SoundCloud. No. No. That's for people that have no friends. And that's for people that need that's the equivalent of a sonic selfie. Is SoundCloud. Not good. Because you want people to comment on your shit moment by moment and shit. It's wonderful, it's great, oh my God. And then somebody says something negative, oh, they're a hater, he doesn't like it. Fuck that, this ain't high school. This ain't high school. This is real fucking life, okay? And people put real ideas down. Don't cheapen your ideas by putting up on a form that's free unless you're ready for that, unless you really want that, unless it's science. Unless you're just checking something out. Don't hinge your ego and your feelings up on no shit on fucking SoundCloud, please. But the financial part, either release it independently and put your balls out and, pony up to get it out in the universe. You know what I mean? Or deal with your publishing. That's where that works for me, man. That's what I see.
Thank you. Next up. Okay. Oh, one at the back, sorry.
You got some live shows coming up with a band.
Yes.
I wonder if you could tell us a bit more about the project and the outfit.
Oh my God, yeah. Basically, I'm lucky enough to have access to some killer musicians, man, and I'm scared shitless. Cause unlike them, I sit up and play other people's music. I play my own music, and that's about as far as it goes in terms of the real time people hearing it and experiencing it, and not realizing when you have all that away and it's you. And you got to translate what it is directly right there with your body and your mind right there. That's some real shit. That's some dedication. Like they marvel at what I do, but I marvel 10 times more at what they do because it's if you're a musician, a proper musician, you have a one acts. You know how to do that really fucking well. And there's a focus and a singularity in that's very elegant. And that's something that no matter what, if you're messing with computers and that's your way to make music, there's no way you'll be able to reach the immediacy that a single instrument can give. It's a trade-off, but it's heavy. You know what I mean? And so I've been thinking about what to cover, what's relevant for people to hear. So I'm thinking back of what I've done before, and also investigating and finding flaws in my music that I found to like for instance. Walking Through the Sky is out of key than a motherfucker. And at the time, I just knew I was jamming. And so as we're rehearsing it, I'm talking to, this is Amp Filler and Duminy the Forest, I'm figuring out, I'm like, dog, I hate this song, y'all. I hate this song. It's out of key. And he's like, it's all right. We'll redo it. It's your chance to redo it, to improve your stuff. And so that's interesting for me. But also, too, I was, the whole time during rehearsal, I going through all my songs, because I can't read or write music, right? So I'm playing them. I'm like, all right, I gotta get this down because they coming in town. They play all the time. I got to get ready because, oh man, the rehearsal's coming. It's going down. I got there and they were just like, yeah, okay. I think Amp didn't play 2 notes. He just stood there like, all right, so you know your songs. What are we gonna do? It doesn't, and there's the distance. He's not impressed with me knowing my songs and I can do that over and over again on stage. He's asking me for directions. What do you want me to do? And how do I write? How do I give you what I can do in your song? And it has nothing to do with me knowing how to play that damn pattern over and over again. And so it's these translations that you learn when you deal with people that not only are seasoned, because let's be clear, man, Amp is an institute in and of itself. But the idea that someone that's focused on one thing could give you an idea that you otherwise wouldn't come across. So that's interesting. Also, too, deciding on which ones need to be covered and which ones flow. Which ones work. And sometimes the personnel decides what that is, and sometimes it's other things decide what that is.
Nice one, man. So, emotional track aside,
yes.
When are you hoping to drop the album?
It's looking like, thanks to the scheduling, me being on point, thanks to my team, yes. It's looking like it's going to drop in September or so.
Cool. All right. So listen, I'm sure I can speak for everyone. This has been a fantastic insight.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Theo Parrish.
No worries. Thank you.